Hey guys, Freddy here. Sorry I haven't been posting because basically it's been rough packing up everything, plus there's a lot of stuff going on back at home too. But it's finally time for me to reminisce about all of my years at boys camp. So it started off, you remember in my girls camp video I had a couple of assistants, one of them being named Josh. Well, he came back and was helping me because, I don't know, guess that bond of brotherhood to where a whole bunch of girls are yelling at the both of you, "Boy cooties!" strengthens that bond of brotherhood. That was a story I forgot to mention in Girls Week, but still, it was good to have him around. And I remember most of the time there, that first year, basically when we weren't selling snacks, we were playing Super Smash Brothers on his Switch. And I helped him get a few whatever you'd call it, achievements or whatever. But it was a fun year. Kind of nothingish all around, but it was a fun year. And I can remember, I don't know if it's still popular, but I remember he was about to make Yo Mama joke. Oh, are you gonna get this for Joe? Joe who? Joe Mama. And so I saw it coming and I intercepted it and I said, "Joe Obama," and he just looked at me and said, "Did you just say Obama?" And I was like, "I sure did." So it's a good way to shake up the system a little bit. Plus, I remember we would sell, name brand beef sticks, and he would always ask the kids if they wanted a Slender James instead of a Slim Jim. So, not a sponsor. I don't have sponsors currently. So, yeah, that was the first year. Then the second year was the year that I had brought a bunch of Pokemon cards to camp to show off or give away or whatever, because I had bought a bunch of them because of Pokemon Go crossing over with the trading card game. And that was where I met the one kid I mentioned in Youth Week who just popped up at my shop and said, "I want to talk about Pokemon," and we've been friends to this day. But while that was a good year, I also remember that was the year where I had some friends in Florida. They actually moved up to Missouri, and I still don't get to spend much time with them, but that's neither here nor there. But I remember they were in town and wanted me to spend time with them. But the problem is, the only time I could spend time with them was on Thursday. We end camp on Thursday. And I can just remember just packing up everything missing them. And my attitude really showed through that. And that's another thing I regret, is because I just let my attitude of wanting to go be with them get in the way of me working to pack up the camp. And that was wrong. I can remember being particularly grumpy and just thinking that it was a never-ending job packing everything up. And it is a never-ending job packing everything up and having to find places to donate the food, and the food that we could eat we pay for and haul. And we actually haul a lot of stuff used for cooking out to camp, because the camp, it's got a few pans and it's got a few utensils, but it doesn't have any like pan liners. We brought our own pan liners. The folks are very specific about their cutlery, so they brought their own cutlery. You see all the styrofoam cups and all the plastic cups that are used, all the paper boats for taking stuff home, all the plastic dishes that we store stuff in. And we got a ton of them. All the towels and the aprons, because if you leave the towels and aprons there over the year, you're going to come back and find that someone has taken them. So having to pack all those up as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. That's why I haven't posted. But that particular year was not a good year for packing up. And that was entirely my fault. Then the next I don't remember if it was the third or fourth year. I think it was the third year. Was it? Because the fourth year I still had that throat problem that I talked about in the Youth Week video. But the third year, I can remember my mom was experimenting with the different snacks we could do, because there's always an evening snack, whether it be ice cream bars or s'mores. Was she had cold chocolate, so like frozen hot chocolate, and she bought like big fancy straws, and the kids seemed to enjoy it. But my folks and I will never forget this one boy who was, I mean, he was always after free stuff so long as I had known him, but anyways, he walks up to the counter and he says, "Is this all there is?" And the folks and I, we really got a kick out of that. kid who I told you Youth Week ended up going on a date that didn't go well. I remember that was the year, my third year, that was the year that he and I got to talking. His family can't drink caffeine. My family can barely drink caffeine, so I had gotten some caffeine-free Pepsi for me. Again, not a sponsor. And I was like, hey, you want to try some of this? It's my personal stash. And he was like, yeah, cool. So brotherhood was forged. And then I can remember later on that year, like I was talking to someone at the tetherball, and he just so happened to be walking by, and he just blew up at me, and I was like, dude, I wasn't even talking to you. And he was in a bad mood because he was homesick. And hey, glad he's over that now, because he goes to so many camps now. But I know 4th year at Boys Week, again, not the best year. Basically, I think I told you, I bought like a thing about this big honey, and I was just like drinking it, and I downed that whole thing of honey in like 72 hours, and it was rough. But then last year, I just remember there were a whole bunch of boys that had not shown up, and that was because they were youth. And I can remember a couple of those boys showed up for Youth Week, and one of them said that, wow, this is absolutely nothing like Boys Week. I want to, like, go home. And I hate that for him, but oh well. But yeah, Boys Week is always very relaxed compared to the other 2 weeks, because the numbers are way, way down. But it's also very hectic at the end because of all the packing up and having to deal with all the snacks. I think the first year, and I think the second year too, we were just asking all the volunteers, hey, you want to buy us some leftover soda pop or snacks or anything like that? And there were a few takers. And then the one boy who asked, is this all there is? I can remember he was just like begging me to just, come on, it's one sour straw. Who's gonna notice? Me. I'm gonna notice, and the camp treasurer is gonna notice too. And it went on for like a half hour of his back and forth until he finally just, he had one in his hand for some reason, and he just dropped it, and I was like, thank you. So yeah. And I think that third either the second or the third year where like I had a bunch of sour straws left, and I was like, okay, here's one thing of sour straws. It's unopened. I'll sell it to you for $20. And the thing costs $15. What? It's just capitalism? But yeah. I think I sold one thing of sour straws to the Camp Royalty that was panhandling, and I sold one thing of sour straws to the Camp Royalty who hates concerts. Either that second or third year. I think it was the third year. But yeah. And then of course there's the fabled werewolf game, which officially got banned this year. I mean, I wish it hadn't taken that long, because like it had become a staple among the boys and some of the staff too. But yeah, it was always a good time, but again, it was kind of a stupid decision on my part, because kids that age still very well could believe in werewolves, but yeah, I've learned my lesson. I can remember a lot of Boys Week, especially that second year on to the fifth year. There was a lot of werewolf game going on. But, well, you gotta switch to Moose in the House, which is just as fun. Can't play it with as many people, but it's just as fun. Plus, I mean, with the werewolf game, you got a whole bunch of people like screaming in your ear and stuff, whereas the Moose game, it's like, nah, it's very calculated. So, good times. Anyways, still can't believe it's over. I can't really think of too much that happened last year, oddly enough. I think that was the year when the director changed from the Camp Royalty with the giant family, the one with the camp pastor who hates werewolves, to the Camp Royalty that has the kid that hates concerts. But the only concrete story I can think of is when I saw that they were about to call for seconds, and instead of letting the director do it, I said, "Attention everybody, how many fingers am I holding up?" And I called for seconds. I got in pretty big trouble because I stepped on the director's line and inserted myself when I shouldn't have. And as tempting as it was to do it this year, I did not do that, and I realize now that stealing people's spotlights and stepping on people's lines are not very nice, and they're very diva-like behavior. And wasn't right. But we're past it. So I'm sure my dad taught science like he normally does, because he's been teaching science ever since before he became a kitchen helper. Because science and faith do mix, oddly enough, if you look at it right. But man, see, this is why you gotta either journal or vlog, because a lot of things you'll end up missing and not remembering. But they were good times nevertheless. Very relaxed. So, with that ends my camp series. Unless I do like a full camp retrospective one day. But thank you for tuning into all of it. And again, I apologize for the late video this time. So, don't do anything you'll regret.